Before the final note even fades, before the crowd realizes they're holding their breath, you already know something impossible is about to happen. This is the kind of moment that makes you lean closer to your screen, the kind that stays with you long after the video ends. If stories of hope, raw talent, and life-changing miracles move your heart, stay with us till the end, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because stories like this deserve to be shared with the world. She stood alone under the massive stage lights, a small figure surrounded by a sea of empty space. Her name was Maria, a quiet girl from a poor neighborhood in the Philippines, where tin roofs rattled during the rain and electricity often disappeared without warning. Her dress was simple, her shoes worn, and her hands trembled slightly as she waved at the judges. The audience saw another shy contestant, but behind her eyes lived years of sacrifice, hunger, and unspoken dreams. When Simon Cowell asked her why she came, her voice shook as she said she wanted to play the piano for her family, so one day they wouldn't have to worry about tomorrow. Maria's story began long before the stage, in a cramped one-room house where her mother worked late nights washing clothes for other people and her father took any job he could find. There was no piano in their home, not even a keyboard. The first time Maria touched piano keys was in a small church, where she would sneak in after cleaning floors with her mother. She practiced on broken keys, memorizing sounds because she couldn't always hear them clearly. Sometimes the priest would ask her to stop, but other times he watched quietly, amazed at how the little girl learned songs just by listening once. Life tested her again and again. When a typhoon hit their town, the church roof collapsed, and the piano was destroyed. Maria thought her dream had ended that day. For months, she didn't play a single note. But even then, music lived inside her. She practiced on a wooden table, tapping rhythms, closing her eyes, imagining the sound. Her mother would watch her, tears in her eyes, wishing she could give her daughter more than survival. It was her mother who secretly sent a video of Maria playing on a borrowed keyboard to a local contest, which led to an audition invitation that felt too big to be real. Now, sitting in front of the grand piano on the biggest stage of her life, Maria took a deep breath. Simon Cowell leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, known for his sharp words and impossible standards. The crowd was polite but unsure. Then Maria placed her fingers on the keys, and everything changed. The first notes were soft, almost fragile, like a whisper. Slowly, the melody grew stronger, filled with pain, hope, and longing. It wasn't just a performance, it was her life poured into sound. Each note told a story of darkness followed by light. As the music swelled, the audience fell silent. Some wiped their eyes. The camera caught Simon's expression shift, from curiosity to disbelief, then to something deeper. Maria's hands moved with confidence far beyond her years, dancing across the keys as if the piano had always been a part of her. When the final note echoed through the hall, there was a split second of silence, followed by an explosion of applause that shook the room. Maria froze, unsure if she had done well, her eyes searching the judges' table. Simon stood up. The crowd gasped. He didn't speak at first, and when he finally did, his voice was quieter than usual. He said he had heard many pianists, many sad stories, but what Maria had just done was extraordinary because it was honest. He said talent like that cannot be taught, it is born from the soul. Maria's knees trembled as tears streamed down her face. Then Simon walked to the golden buzzer. Time seemed to slow. When he pressed it, golden confetti rained down like a miracle, and Maria collapsed to the floor, overwhelmed, crying, laughing, unable to believe what was happening. In that moment, her life changed forever. But the real power of her story wasn't just the golden buzzer or the applause. It was the reminder that greatness can come from the humblest places, that dreams don't ask where you come from, only how deeply you believe. Maria hugged her mother backstage, both of them crying, knowing that years of struggle had finally been seen. The piano that once existed only in her imagination had carried her across the world. As the video ends, we're left with more than inspiration, we're left with responsibility. To believe in unseen talent. To support dreams before they shine. To remember that somewhere, right now, a child is practicing on broken keys, waiting for a chance. If this story touched your heart, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Because sometimes, one song, one moment, is enough to change everything. Before the final note even touches the air, before the judges rise from their seats and the crowd explodes into applause, there is a moment so quiet and powerful that it feels like time itself has stopped. This is one of those moments. The kind that pulls you in from the very first second and refuses to let go. If stories of struggle, hidden talent, and life-changing miracles inspire you, stay with us until the very end, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Because stories like this deserve to reach every heart that still believes in dreams. Her name was Maria Santos, and as she walked onto the stage, the lights felt too bright, the space too wide, and the silence too loud. She was small for her age, wearing a simple dress that had been carefully washed and ironed by her mother the night before. Her shoes were borrowed, slightly too big, and her hair was neatly tied back with a ribbon she had owned since childhood. To most people watching, she was just another nervous contestant. But behind her calm smile lived a story shaped by poverty, loss, and an unbreakable love for music. Maria grew up in a crowded neighborhood in the Philippines, where houses were built close together with thin walls of wood and metal sheets. When it rained, water leaked through the roof, and when the sun burned, the heat felt unbearable. Her father worked as a laborer, taking whatever job he could find, and her mother washed clothes for wealthier families from early morning until late at night. There were days when food was barely enough, days when electricity disappeared, and nights when Maria went to sleep listening to the sound of her parents whispering worries they thought she couldn't hear. Music entered her life quietly. When Maria was 6 years old, her mother took her to a small church nearby so she could help clean after Sunday services. In the corner of that church stood an old, slightly broken piano. Some keys didn't work, others were out of tune, but to Maria, it looked magical. One afternoon, when no one was around, she pressed a single key. The sound echoed through the empty room, and something awakened inside her. She pressed another, then another, creating simple melodies that made her heart race. From that day on, Maria found excuses to return to the church. She practiced whenever she could, often late in the evening, her fingers learning by trial and error. She had no teacher, no sheet music. She learned by listening, memorizing sounds she heard on the radio or from old videos on borrowed phones. Sometimes the priest scolded her for staying too long. Sometimes he watched silently, moved by the way this small girl played with such emotion despite knowing nothing about technique or theory. Life, however, was never gentle. When Maria was 9, a powerful typhoon hit their town. Winds tore through homes, flooding streets, and destroying everything in their path. The church roof collapsed, and the old piano was crushed beneath the debris. When Maria saw it, broken beyond repair, she felt as if a part of her had been taken away. For weeks, she didn't speak much. She stopped smiling. At night, she cried quietly so her parents wouldn't hear. But music refused to leave her. Even without a piano, Maria practiced on the wooden table at home, tapping rhythms, imagining the sound of each note. She closed her eyes and played entire songs in her head, feeling the music as if it were real. Her mother noticed and felt both pride and pain, knowing her daughter had a gift but no way to nurture it. Still, she encouraged her, telling her that if something lived in her heart, no storm could destroy it. Years passed, and Maria grew older, but her dream grew stronger. Occasionally, she found a keyboard at a neighbor's house or at school, and every time she touched the keys, it felt like coming home. One day, without telling Maria, her mother recorded a short video of her playing and singing softly. She sent it to a small local talent search, never expecting a response. When the invitation for an international audition arrived, her mother cried for hours. It felt unreal, like hope knocking on their door after years of waiting. The journey to the audition was filled with fear and excitement. It was Maria's first time leaving her country, her first time on an airplane. She clutched her mother's hand, afraid she might wake up and realize it was all a dream. When they arrived, everything felt overwhelming, the size of the buildings, the noise, the people from all over the world. Maria wondered if she truly belonged there. Now, standing on the world's biggest stage, she felt all those doubts return. Simon Cowell sat at the judges' table, known for his honesty and high standards. When he asked Maria about her background, her voice trembled as she spoke about her family and her love for the piano. She said she wanted to change her parents' lives, to give back everything they had sacrificed for her. Simon listened quietly, his expression unreadable. Maria sat at the grand piano, its surface shining under the lights. She took a deep breath and placed her fingers on the keys. The first notes were gentle, almost fragile, like a confession. Slowly, the melody grew, filled with sadness, hope, and resilience. Every note carried memories of hunger, of rain leaking through the roof, of a broken piano in a ruined church. The audience leaned forward, drawn into the emotion pouring from her hands. As the music continued, something extraordinary happened. Maria stopped being a nervous girl on a stage and became a storyteller. Her fingers moved with confidence and grace, her body swaying slightly with the rhythm. The piano seemed to respond to her touch, as if it understood her pain and her dreams. Some audience members wiped away tears. Others sat frozen, afraid to break the moment. Simon Cowell's expression changed. His arms uncrossed. He leaned forward, eyes fixed on Maria. He had heard thousands of performances, but this was different. It wasn't perfect in a technical sense, but it was real. It was honest. It was unforgettable. When the final note echoed through the hall, silence filled the room. Maria's hands hovered above the keys, her heart pounding. Then the audience erupted into applause, louder than anything she had ever heard. She stood up slowly, overwhelmed, tears streaming down her face. The judges rose to their feet, clapping, smiling, clearly moved. Simon stood as well. The crowd gasped, sensing something special. He spoke softly, saying that true talent isn't about where you come from or what you own, it's about what you feel and how you share it. He said Maria had reminded him why music matters. Then he walked toward the golden buzzer. Time seemed to slow as he pressed it. Golden confetti rained down from above, filling the stage with light. Maria collapsed to her knees, crying uncontrollably. Her mother ran to her, hugging her tightly, both of them shaking with emotion. Years of struggle, sacrifice, and silent dreams had led to this single, life-changing moment. But the story didn't end there. The golden buzzer opened doors Maria never imagined. She received support, training, and opportunities that transformed her future. More importantly, she became a symbol of hope for millions of children around the world who felt invisible, unheard, or forgotten. Her story reminded everyone watching that greatness can rise from the humblest places. As the video comes to an end, one truth remains clear. Dreams don't belong only to the rich or the lucky. They belong to anyone brave enough to hold on, even when everything seems lost. If Maria's journey touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who needs hope today. Because somewhere right now, another child is tapping on a table, dreaming of a piano, and your support might be the reason their dream is finally heard.